So I have a very unusual situation here. This is one of my backup lamps. This is the other one you can see is on. When I first looked at this, I thought, okay, this is burnt out, no big deal. This is the license plate lights. But you can see here that this was actually cut. I stripped the wire there because I was going to put a butt connector on it. But this is really weird. I'll see if I'll connect these two right here. Okay, hang on a second. Alright, see, both of the backup lights are on, but now the license plate lights are off, okay? So I thought maybe, okay, well maybe that's the way it was designed, because when you obviously have your car in reverse, then these lights will go off, but the problem is this one's on anyway. So I'm going to have to pull this harness. Underneath here is actually a harness. I'm going to get to that in a second. Okay, so on the underside here you can see there's actually a wire harness that supplies power to both the backup lenses or backup lamps and the both of the license plate lamps. So what I'm actually going to have to do is I'm going to have to disconnect this, take it inside, figure this out, figure out why when they're all connected the license plate lights go out, because obviously I'll get pulled over if I don't have any license plate lights. It looks like to me that somebody cut into this on purpose. I don't know the circumstances, but I have a wiring diagram, so basically what I'll do is I'll trace this and figure out what the hell is going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out. Okay, so you can see that I have the wire harness right here. This is where it connects to the car. These are the license plate bulbs. These are nothing more than 194 wedge bulbs. These are really, really common. In fact, I'm actually going to order some LED replacements for these rather than continue to use these incandescent versions. And then this one here is a 3157 standard bulb. And I'm also going to be ordering some LEDs for this as well to make my backup lamps much brighter. These are more expensive, so that's going to have to wait. But anyway, so if you're wondering if you need to reorder some backup lenses, this is a 3157, and then this one is a 194 wedge. And they're both pretty common. I mean, you can get either of these at a local hardware store, or automotive, whatever. They're pretty abundant. So yeah, if you were wondering about that, that's how you those are the bulbs that you would get. But my main goal here is to figure out what is going on with this thing. This is the actual wire harness that powers both the backup lenses and the license plate lens or lamps. And if you'll remember from just a few minutes ago, when I connected these 2 points here, it actually shut off the backup, or excuse me, the license plate lamps, and these ran just fine. And you might be saying, okay, well, the license plate lights actually turn off when you are in reverse. That's not the case, because you could see that both of these were lit up, plus this one was lit up in reverse, and then as soon as I connected these 2 points, these both lit up, but then these both turned off. So that wasn't the case as far as that condition. So what I need to do is I actually have the wiring diagram here. This is straight from the General Motors book, the repair manual. I've got the wire diagram here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this really close, and I'm going to try to match it up with this harness and figure out what's going on. I highly doubt that there's anything faulty from this end to the car. I mean, I just don't, because the rest of this works fine. I don't think anybody would modify the inside of the trunk or a harness or something and then have to chop this up to make it work. That's always a possibility, but I highly doubt that. I believe that this wire harness has been tampered with, because these 2 points here were cut. All I did was strip the wire and just connected these just to make sure that it was going to work, and sure enough, I figure out there's something else wrong. So, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sit here and line all this up and figure out if there's something crossed, if something got modified. I mean, I have no idea if somebody's messed with this, because it's pretty obvious that the license plate lamps weren't coming on, so they cut this wire, and that allowed the lamps to come on, but also disabled one of the backup lamps. So I'm going to go ahead and look at that right now. Okay, so I've been looking over this diagram, and I can't really determine at this point what exactly is wrong with this wire harness. As you can see here, I put this is just 10 gauge wire. All I did was mock up a way for me to test these lamps. And if you look on the back side here, you've got a brown, a green, and a black wire. Black being ground. And then the brown wire actually leads to the license plate lamps, and then the green wire leads to the backup lamps. So when you're driving down the road, you got your lights on or whatever, the brown is going to be excited to light the license plate lamps. And then when you put your car in reverse, then the green wire is going to receive 12 volts to light these. So to test that, I've got the brown and the ground, brown and black, hooked up right now, and as you can see, both of the bulbs light up. Okay, so when I actually switch this to brown and green, you may be able to see this, but you can see only one out of the two backup lenses actually lights up. So I believe that there is a problem with the green and the black wire. So that's what I'm actually going to be looking at. But when tracing this, you figure it out in your head. You look at the wiring diagram. You figure out exactly what could be wrong, what's not wrong, that and the other thing. And in tracing this, you've got the three wires that come out, and then you've got your green and your ground that go to this first bulb, which does work. Okay. Now the odd thing is that this, being that it's ground and it's severed at the very first bulb, what's strange to me is that the rest of these bulbs are actually able to function without even being connected to ground. So I think that this has actually been modified in some way to actually work. And what it looks like to me is that somehow they've grounded this first bulb to always come on, and that disables this last bulb. Again, I have to look at this really close. I could be way off base here, but I'm basically doing trial and error. I'm trying to figure out exactly which connection here is not working, and pretty much go from there. But it's really strange that when these two, this first bulb is actually properly grounded, it's really strange that it disables the license plates. You can see there, disabled. Just completely, I don't know, it's really unusual that they would do that. So, like I said, I have to sit down and figure out exactly what's going on here, figure out why this thing just doesn't want to work. And it's as simple, you can see there, those light up just fine. So I gotta figure out what's going on here, and it's really, I don't know, I can't explain it. It's really weird. It's really weird how this is working like this. So anyway, I keep on at it. Okay, there is definitely a short somewhere here, and how you can tell is when I use this battery to test the backup lamps, nothing comes on when this wire here is connected. At the same time, the battery is getting really hot. So there is a short somewhere along the green and the black wire. It seems to me that the brown wire is just fine. This battery is actually really hot. so it wasn't getting hot when I was testing out the two license plate lenses. So I know there's a short in here somewhere, and it may not be possible for me to actually repair this. I may just have to buy a new harness at a junkyard or something. They're pretty common, so I may have to go that route. I'm gonna keep on working at it to try to figure out if there is a way that I can get it fixed. But yeah, so that's pretty much. I mean, when I disconnect the black wire, let's see, let's do a positive on this side. When I disconnect the black wire, it actually lights up the bulb you can see right there. But when I reconnect the black wire, nothing. You can see nothing lights up. And I thought, okay, well maybe it's because there's two bulbs here and this one 9-volt battery is incapable of powering both of those, but that wasn't the case either. And I can feel the battery getting warm, so there's definitely something shorted out in here, and it may be one of those deals where I'm just not going to be able to do anything about it. Like I said, I'm going to try. I followed the wire diagram, and it seems to match what I'm seeing here. You know, and these bulbs. Seems to match what I'm seeing here, so I'm going to just work at it a little bit more, trace it out, see if I can figure this out, and if I can't, then I'll just get a new harness. There's no point in me trying to fix this and then it start a fire or something. There really isn't. Okay, so I think I've fixed the problem. There was in fact a short on the inside of the first license plate bulb, so that when this bulb was actually grounded, it was shorting out this bulb here. So what they did, instead of fixing the problem, what they ended up doing is just cutting this wire. So it essentially bypassed this license plate bulb and allowed the rest of it to work, except for it disabled one of the backup lenses. And I'll show you. I've got my 12-volt solar battery here. It's a deep cycle battery, 125 amp hours, and it's sitting at 13.08 volts right now. And I've got this mock-up connection here. Basically, I have positive. I've got 13 volts running to the brown wire and the green wire. So the green wire is the backup lights and the brown wire is the license plate lights. And if you'll remember, when I had this running and I had this connected, the license plate lights would actually go off when the backup lights were on, and it didn't matter if one bulb or the other bulb was on, they wouldn't work at all. So what I'm going to do is, this is a 4-gauge wire. Essentially, this wire here actually runs to my inverter, but I just disconnected it so that I could test it, because a 9-volt battery just isn't doing it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and connect these two, and as you can see here, all 4 bulbs come on. So I believe I fixed the problem. Because I've been touching these bulbs, I'm actually going to put alcohol. I'm going to rub alcohol on all the glass, because the oil from your skin will actually cause these things to shatter when they get too hot. So it's important to note that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fix this with a butt plug and reinstall this, and it should, if everything's gone right, it should fix the problem. So we'll see. Okay, so let's say that you are installing headlamps, the bulbs, tail lamps, whatever, and you accidentally touch one of the bulbs with your hand. The first thing you're going to want to do is realize that it's not good to touch these, okay? Especially the headlamps. The headlamps get really, really hot. It's not good to touch any of them at all. If you accidentally touch these, it's a good idea to have some rubbing alcohol handy. And you just take, you know, a piece of cloth or anything else like that after you're done working on it, and you just take the alcohol and you just, you know, rub it basically all over. And after you've done that, make sure you dry it. Dry it really good. I'll just take a dry end here and just dry this off. And that's essentially, that's all you do. Now the bulb is actually clean. The point is to get all the oil and dirt off of the bulb before you actually install it. You don't have to do this from the package itself, but if you accidentally were to touch the bulb when you're installing it or whatever, don't panic. You haven't ruined the bulb or anything. Just take some alcohol and just rub the alcohol in really good, and then you just dry it off really good, and you've essentially cleaned the bulb off so it's as good as new. Again, just be careful that you don't touch it again. So that is what you should do. Now the headlamps, it's not in this video, but I'll show you in another video, but the headlamps, especially important that you don't touch the bulbs. And it's funny that it doesn't say it in your owner's manual when you're actually doing this. And I actually had my mom, who's not very literate in this kind of stuff, replace a bulb. One day later the bulb went out, and she couldn't figure out why. It's because she touched the glass. So they get so hot they crack. And so anyway, that's just a little tidbit there for you if you're replacing your lamps in your car. Okay, I'm all finished here. Instead of using electrical tape like what was on there before, I went ahead and used zip ties just to give it a nice clean look. I know nobody's going to be looking at it down the road, and neither am I, but I just wanted to make sure that it was nice and clean. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cleaning off these bulbs with rubbing alcohol, and go ahead and get this thing reinstalled, test it, make sure we're looking good, and down the road, as I said, I'm going to be replacing these bulbs with LEDs. So that won't be in this video, it'll definitely be in a future video, but I just wanted to show you guys that I could actually get this thing fixed, and that way I didn't have to spend the $20–30 on a new harness. So I was able to successfully do this with the help of my wiring diagram. So alright, let's get it installed. Okay, I have the car in reverse, it's not running, just to test the backup lights. They both work perfect, as well as the license plate lights are now working just fine. So as you can see here, everything works. It's really amazing that inside that plug there was a bad connection, and that caused the thing to just go weird. It's just weird how you figure those things out.